people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am American.
I'm Martin.
And this is Lulu. She's joined us for the start of the stream today. I don't know how long this is going to last because she's having a bit of a freak out. I think she's wondering if there's a laser up here. Lulu, is there a laser? Somewhere. Anyway, she's here for the start. We are coming to you live from Shanghai, China, and we have a ton of. All right. There's too much of that. We have a ton of things to go over today, including lots of new artwork for Alice Asylum. We also have some design things to talk about, some story things to talk about.
Some coin things to talk about.
Some chaos coin things to talk about. And we'll be giving away some prizes. What are we giving away today, Martin?
Patches. And possibly that cup.
Are you going to show them the cup? I think you should. You've already...
Maybe we do it later.
Okay.
So now they're going to think, ooh, that cup.
What is that cup?
Yeah, it's there. I can see it.
It's pretty special. It's a special cup. So, so there will be prizes. And if we can get through all of this art review, then we've also got patron questions and suggestions. And
right here.
There's a whole page of them printed out there. Plus,
before we start, I mean, lots of people just asking about the T-shirt.
Go for it.
American bought me a bunch back months ago for my birthday.
Happy birthday, Martin.
Yeah, all sort of Rick and Morty-esque silliness. So I said this stream I would wear one. It's quite a weird material. It's very spandexy, but it's quite comfy.
It's good.
There you go.
It's a strange style of Rick and Morty.
It's stylized, but it's from one of my favorite episodes with the memory parasites.
It was actually in an episode. And then if anyone is concerned about my shirt, this is the Trojan Rabbit from Monty Python. So, we both decided to put on our weird shirts today.
Yeah.
Speaking of clothing.
Ooh, nice segue.
Let's get right into art review. So, this is, I think most of you have seen previously what we were dubbing the denial dress. But in the design of the dresses, I had talked with Omri and our fans about the idea that every dress have two modes in effect. So this would be the regular mode of the denial dress. And if you remember, the back of this dress featured some burnt up, smoking, charred material.
Yes, it did.
And I think this is the one... It's missing the little hint here.
Oh, yeah. There was a tiny little scuff on the front, wasn't there?
There was a tear in her stocking. And this is also the one that, if you saw the back, had the print on the internal, like the petticoat. And I think it said something like, it's your fault.
It's your fault.
It's your fault. But we had said maybe each dress has an alternate mode. And so this would be the chaos mode of the denial dress, meaning that this is the dark side, the flip side. And I actually like this this concept. Now, I don't know, I'm not commenting just yet on the representation of the dress or her hairstyle. I see people in the comments saying things like the hair looks like a boy. But just from a narrative perspective, because we've talked about the idea that the ultimate enemy that Alice faces is herself. It's the shadow self. And so perhaps what's happening is that when Alice flips to chaos mode, she's actually flipping to a preview of the shadow self that she will then have to face at some future point in the game.
Right. I guess. So the shadow will take different forms in different dresses, obviously.
Yeah, so in a sense, I mean, we're not saying this is the final concept, but imagine that you play through the game, you acquire these dresses, and then you also get a glimpse at the chaos mode of the dresses. Let's say whenever she gets low on health, which was the way that we triggered it or hysteria mode in Madness Returns, it could be that when we get to the end of a level, or we get to, towards the end of the game, you actually have to face off against each and every one of the chaos mode Alice in these dresses, and with whatever power you've seen manifested previously in the game. Of course, those would have been powers you would have been using against enemies. Now they're going to be used against you.
Good idea.
Could be
a lot of
interesting.
good ideas around the whole Shadow Alice concept.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've also seen in this week's Patreon updates, there was some talk about the fact that because of the number of dresses that we have, we're almost running into a situation where you could imagine the game having a sort of, I want to be careful how we state this, but essentially like a fashion design system. Which is to say that you could go through the world and find yourself collecting the elements necessary to build and then customize the various dresses. Because at this point, there's a lot. I think we're coming up on maybe more than 15.
Yeah, I think somebody, I saw it mentioned, is like 16 or something. That's the number I've got in my head.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. And I mentioned in that Patreon post that perhaps we use something like the collection of embroidered patches as a form of individual customization, and also a way to unlock various powers or abilities for each dress.
I did see that comment. It may even be on my list. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. I just want to stress that for those of you out there listening who are not into fashion design and don't really care about making dresses, don't forget there'll still be plenty of blood and guts and weapons and gore. So,
yay!
Speaking of weapons,
the ranged nutcracker.
This is the ranged nutcracker. I love this weapon idea. This is from Joey. And as I wrote in the recent Patreon update, the idea that this thing has got a face and a mouth opens it up for a personality.
Yeah.
And I looked these up. So nutcrackers are, the origin is, do you know where they're from?
Probably somewhere in Europe, I guess.
They are German in origin.
Right.
And they were given as gifts around the holidays. And so I was thinking to give this guy a quirky little German accent.
Right.
And then have him give Alice sort of battle technique advice.
Okay. Firstly, would Alice have experienced the German accent?
Are you suggesting that there were no Germans in London in 1836?
I don't know. I'm asking. Was it a thing? Was the travel quite widespread back then around Europe?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why the idea of Alice Otherlands came up, is because you'd won lots of different imaginations and minds to travel into. And so if you go and you look up the list of people who traveled from all over the world to London, Mark Twain was there. Carl Jung was there. He's obviously German. Just about every famous person in the world at some point made their way to London during that era. Yeah.
Great place to be.
Not so much anymore. But yeah, so the nutcracker weapon, obviously firing nuts, but I suppose it could fire anything you shoved into it.
I suppose, as long as it fit in the mouth.
And it might complain if you sort of shoved things in there to fire that it didn't want to have in its mouth.
I guess so.
But
I quite like a chatty accompanying head in a video game. Clearly there was God of War and one of my favorites, Lollipop Chainsaw. So yeah, it's a thing I enjoy.
Me too. And I think, anytime you have a chance to give personality to what would otherwise be an inanimate object, such as a weapon, there's a lot of fun to be had there.
Yeah.
You can also kind of imagine, like, if the White Rabbit is alongside with Alice, and then this guy, and then the Cheshire Cat, what kind of conversation would the group of them get into? Sat around the campfire in Wonderland.
It's worth exploring.
Yeah, it could be fun. So anyway, that's a good new weapon concept from Joey. Yeah. She also sends along, this is the cards. Now, of course, we have the cards in the first game, so this is not a new concept by any means. But if you've been following along with our development work, we are building artwork for tarot cards. And so those tarot cards would be presented in-game as a weapon, a la the machine gun style weapon that you see in the first Alice game. And then we're also talking about making the tarot cards as an actual physical collectible deck.
Yeah, got a question about that later.
And this is artwork that she's done. This is Bumby. And this is him representing the card of the devil.
Quite successfully.
It's frightening.
Yeah.
But you can imagine her having these cards in her deck, and perhaps we have a mechanic whereby the collection of different cards and then adding those as ammo does something to enable different firing styles or modes.
Right. I guess... you'd have to be very careful, because there wouldn't be a Bumby card in Asylum, would there, to represent the devil yet?
Well, that's a good question. It's a very good point. I guess one of the things you'd have to ask yourself is, if 13-year-old Alice saw this, would she make the connection to this being Bumby? So her subconscious could scream out that this is the devil, and it could give her a sort of premonition to what's coming, 2 games hence, 10 plus years in the future. But remember, this is her subconscious, and so her subconscious probably already has some intuition around this guy, and so this is the way it paints the picture, as in a nightmare. It's a monster, but we don't know exactly the face of the monster, the name of the monster.
Well, somebody says, they're tarot cards. They can tell the future.
This is true.
So there's your ex machina.
I don't think it breaks anything. But, this is one of those ideas we can explore a bit. But I think we scribble it down as a question. For sure, I think we're going to see a lot of foreshadowing in this game. In fact, it's one of those opportunities where we get to go back in time, and so long as we don't break things, present tons of sort of non-obvious foreshadowing that only people who've played the second and third game would get. But isn't that kind of thing fun? Like, if you play a game, isn't it interesting to see the connections forward to what's going to come?
I'm trying to think of I've played any prequels where I might have experienced that. Can't think off the top of my head.
Well, we'll have to think about it.
Yeah.
In the theme of the tarot cards, she also sends along the Duchess, done up as the High Priestess, and of course carrying the pig. Now, this is all reference to the scene in Madness Returns.
So again, the cards know the future.
Well, to some degree.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can adjust these things. I don't think that the idea of the Duchess with the pig breaks anything.
Okay.
But we'll go round on this with our community, and we'll see if anybody feels that any of this goes too far.
Okay. If anyone's got any thoughts about that, put it in the chat, put it in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, so anyway, this is back to the tarot card deck and her throwing this. Not a lot going on here. Again, I think maybe inserting certain cards into the deck could unlock certain firing patterns or features. So that's something that we can detail out over on the wiki.
Yeah.
Did you bring the wiki up here? I know that it's
no.
I know it's getting lots of content going into it these days.
It is.
What happened this last week on the wiki, Martin?
On the actual wiki itself, I'm not sure, but we
just in
do
terms of the
get-
community.
Yes, we have four or five wiki editors now brought on board. So yeah, there's a lot of talk and discussion going into that about what it's going to look like, what's going into it, how it's going to be improved. It's moving forwards.
It is moving forwards.
Yeah.
So we are adding all of the items, story elements, enemies, dresses, all that kind of good stuff to the wiki. And as Martin said, there is a collection of wiki editors.
There are, and before it goes, we have a super chat from Alice on Elm Street. Thank you very much. Maybe you could collect the cards as you play to use the card weapon in replays of the game, like second playthroughs and such. You could collect the cards as you play to use the card weapon in replays of the game.
I don't quite get it, but Alice on Elm Street, thank you for the super chat. Normally does present fairly interesting gameplay concepts, so maybe this one is just so good that it's gone over our heads.
And Ice Killer super chats as well, thank you. Kingdom Hearts kind of has the prequel future connection thing, but that's full on super fantasy, isn't it?
Kingdom Hearts, well, I mean, it's the game set in the universe of all the Disney, but of course, is it any more or less super fantasy than our game? Not really.
There's a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Back to our art review. Oh yeah, what we were saying about the website. So if you do have concepts, ideas, art, story, notes on the things that are being presented here, we are going to set up a section of the wiki where you, the fans, will be able to dump your ideas. And that's also going to connect up through what we're doing with Discord.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that are patrons, you'll know that at certain patron levels, you get access to Discord automatically. And so we're using these tools, the Discord server and the wiki, as a way of collecting all of your ideas and sharing all this information. So if you do have comments or design concepts or artwork or story elements or whatever you want to share with the community, that is the way to do it.
Yeah. And the wiki people are here in the chat. They are watching the live streams and collating what is said. So should make it onto the wiki in the community suggestions sections.
That is correct.
Yeah.
A big thank you to that group of our community, also the ones that are helping with the Discord and helping with the wiki. The amount of attention that the project is getting now and the amount of ideas that are flowing, not just from the internal team, but also from the community, which is exactly what we want. That amount of idea flow is getting to be so great that we absolutely need community and community helpers to organize and get all that stuff together.
It's too much for just us two.
It is way
now.
too much, and even too much for us plus Lulu.
Even. Victorian super chats. Just wanted to say hello. Glad could make it to a stream. I usually work inventory at crazy hours and can't make it. Okay, well, glad you're here.
Thank you, Victorian.
Sorry about your crazy hours.
And what did you say he works? Inventory.
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 That's what I said. Inventory.
Oh, boy.
Another one. big orange one has just arrived. Joachim Olsen. Okay, thank you. If the Nutcracker is a character, should he die since he doesn't show up in the other games? It would be great for drama and character development for Alice. Sounded like the other Wonderland friends had died before in the first game. Good point.
We have a lot of opportunity for looking at the origin and then eventual path and potential destruction of any of the characters that arrive. So that's a very good point, Joaquin. And thank you for the super chat. We will have to create the timelines and make sure that all of the threads tie together neatly. Some of those threads will tie together, I hope, in sort of dramatic twist-like fashion, leading to the place where they are in the games in the future. So yeah, let's work on that and make sure it all makes sense.
Magus says, spoilers. We keep forgetting to do that at the beginning of the streams.
Yeah,
if you don't want to know stuff, stop watching.
Yeah, exactly. I assume if you come here to listen to this, you're well aware that you're going to be hearing spoiler stuff. Right. So another bit of art from Joey. She sends along this concept image for the library. Now, this has in it some elements that are similar to the library section in the first Alice game, and that would be the flying books, but it also contains a sort of portal-like element, that is mirrors, that are transporting Alice around this room. I loved that game, Portal.
Yes, it was heartbreakingly small, though.
It's a good game.
But at least the second one was massive.
This is true.
Yeah. Super chats coming in thick and fast. Alice on Elm Street. Like you get each card as you play through the first time and unlock the weapons for the second playthrough. Kind of what I imagined, but then the question is, do you get that weapon in the first playthrough as well? Or is it just like a treat for the future?
I'm still a bit confused. Sorry. It's early. It's only 9 a.m. here, so but I mean, the first question that comes to mind for me is, if I've collected the cards the first time, are you saying that I then have to shut the game off, walk away for a few hours, come back and play through?
You finish the game. And then on New Game Plus, you have bunch of other stuff unlocked that you collected.
I see. Well, that could certainly help with replay. Okay, there you go. That's a pretty it's an advanced idea, because I don't normally think to what happens the second time I play through a game.
Richard Meredith super chatting. Thank you. What if Alice finds a weapon that can shrink enemies or change the size of objects to progress through the game? I think this one's been mentioned. Again, it's a maybe.
Yeah,
it's certainly within the realm of Wonderland.
Yeah, I think we've talked about before. I mean, it could be quite fun to have a weapon that, say, for instance, you fired at an enemy in a confined space and it made them expand and grow until they couldn't fill the space and they broke. Vice versa, to shrink things down and then stomp on them would be very Alice-like. And these were things that we thought about trying to accomplish in the first game, or I'm sorry, in the second game, in Madness Returns, but there were time and technical constraints that just made it not possible.
Okay.
But it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we will try to make some stuff like that happen. I think that's the kind of stuff that people really expect and they want, and I feel like we've managed to deliver on the surreal aspect of the art and the story and the sound and the music, and a little bit of the kind of effects and wonder and a little bit of shrinking, growing stuff, but we've never really fully paid off some of the more extreme kind of physics bending nonsense that people would expect from Wonderland. And I think one of the issues is that when you're making a game, as opposed to when you're writing a book or a film, the book or the film, it's one off, but in a game it has to be unbreakable, replayable, predictable. But what you're talking about is something that isn't predictable. You know, you're opening up the possibility for some really mad stuff to happen.
Victorian super chats asking if we have any plans for a Halloween stream.
Now, I assume, thank you for the super chat, Victorian. I assume you mean Halloween as in the 31st of October, not Halloween as in the YouTube streamer who we've hooked up with before. Yeah, maybe we should do a special
dress
Halloween stream. That would be fun.
What day is Halloween this year?
As in, other than October 31st, day of the week.
What I said, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to. We'll have somebody in the chat there.
Yes, I mean, what day is Halloween this year?
Well, just quickly, while we're on the subject of surreal insanity and environments which shift out between your feet and transform, and the guys over at Freaky Fandoms this week are talking about an anime called Paprika. And apparently this is one of Deborah's favorite animes. And if you go to YouTube and you watch the trailer for this, you will see there are some very strong connections visually, conceptually, to Christopher Nolan's movie Inception.
I heard it was the inspiration, or an inspiration of Inception. Don't know if that's right. Maybe they mention it in Freaky Fandoms.
I bet they do. But the trailer is fantastic, and it does sort of go to... It's the type of stuff I think we really wish we could do in-game. But the problem with that type of stuff is that it is so reality-bending, it is so rule-breaking, that it kind of goes against the way that games are generally developed, unless of course you put in large set pieces where every time you approach a particular place the world twists and bends in exactly the same fashion. But I think that what people really want out of an Alice game, just as a quick example, would be you're walking normal size through a forest, and now at any point in that forest you could pop your shrink pill and now be in a completely different realm. You are now the size of an ant, but it's a place that's got its own level design and its characters and its battles. But you got to imagine, I mean, that's a game within a game. And if you were to try to make that sort of work across an entire game, well, you're talking about building games within games within games. It's gameception.
It is gameception.
Anyway, if you do want to hear more about Paprika, do go check out Freaky Fandoms.
Check them out.
They are our biggest sponsor.
They are awesome guys.
They support us every month, but they've also supported me for years now, and so we want to support them in kind. So be sure to head over to Freaky Fandoms. The link is in the description below. Give them some love, give them some follow and support. They do have a Patreon set up, so yeah, there you go.
Please do.
Please go check them out. That brings us to
it's giveaway time.
What are we giving away, Martin?
Ooh, should we do patch first?
Let's do a patch.
Should we do that cup as like the last one?
The cup.
Can we go like?
What are you doing? It's not going to work. A cup is a cup.
Bringing it in. Oh my God! What's that? Oh, what's that?
Oh, Martin, you're freaking me out there. I think that's a little beyond our YouTube rating. Right. So, guys, we're going to do a contest. If you could spam the chat, you can spam the chat with your favorite Christopher Nolan movie.
Okay.
What's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie?
One of the Batman movies, I guess.
Dark Knight trilogy.
Don't know which one. Probably maybe the first one.
I think I'm torn between Inception and what was the spacey one? Interstellar, yeah. There was a trailer someone did of Interstellar where it's just the Matthew McConaughey character yelling the girl's name over and over, right. Repeatedly, stupidly. Anyway, so everyone seems to like. There's someone likes Bacon. I didn't know that Nolan did a movie called Bacon.
Check that one out.
Bacon
Dark Knight, Inception, Batman, Dark Knight.
Ooh, Dunkirk is a good one. I forgot. That's actually a pretty good one.
Dunkirk's weird. It's hard to describe. It's such a weird movie. It just didn't click with me. I was wondering why it got such rave reviews. I enjoyed it, but it was one of those it was all right kind of sensations.
Right. All right. Well, anyway, we've now filled up the chat with your favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Apparently, someone thinks that This Sucks Ass is their favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I hadn't seen that one either. Is that sort of like Christopher Nolan's version of The Human Centipede?
We'll put that on our view list as well, next to Bacon.
All right. Sounds good. Oh no, Blade Siskadal. What is going on with Night
We
Chat?
definitely haven't got any dodgy settings set up on Nightbot.
This is ridiculous. All right, Blade, you won. You got a set of patches, or I think if you won previously, maybe you.
It was like a month ago.
I see.
Before last time Blade won.
All right, well, Blade, you won again. I don't know what the hell's going on with Nightbot.
We
I think we ought to write and complain.
Write
and complain. So anyway, Blade, you know the routine. You got to send us an email. And I remember the Blade's address is very spastic.
It's mad.
It's one of those
Welsh.
Ye oldie Welshian. Oh, Blade says reroll. All right, let's do it. There we go. Okay, Kiko. What's wrong?
Gotta write that down.
Okay, so Kiko Muchi Mendoza, you
Mendoza
have just won by the grace of Blade. So, Kiko Muchi, if you could please send your mailing address, phone number, the thing that you won, which is the embroidered patches, and send all that to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. We will get that stuff sent out to you right away.
Or soonish.
Right, so back to art review. So this is another image that Joey sent. This one is still from the library, but she's continued. And if you remember, there was an image she did a while back called Secret Garden, and this was posted up over on Patreon. And the Secret Garden image was a sort of MC Escher-esque.
That one.
Yeah, sort of garden library thing. It's quite beautiful. And so I'm trying to see if I can load that up over on Patreon. So she's continued along in that theme, though. You can see out the window here. This is actually going to the Secret Garden. And it kind of continues in that Escher-esque theme. Now, she seems to suggest that perhaps you're even looking at yourself out the window there.
Yeah, wouldn't that be kind of mad if you looked out the window and you saw a replay of what you just played to actually get to where you were?
So that seems like it's actually an idea. Can you imagine that you are in one room where you know that what you're doing there is going to be time delay rebroadcast from another room where you can see what's happening? And so it's sort of one of those things where it's like you've got to stand on the two switches at the same time.
Yeah.
So you go to the first room and stand on the switch, and then you run to the other room, and then you watch yourself run to the first room and stand on the switch, and then you stand on the second switch, and now you've done the thing.
I feel that there might be a game that did that. I can't place it, but it's still a good idea, especially set in Wonderland and Alice and stuff.
Well, it's kind of fun. It's a sort of a temporal and physical puzzle contraption where you're playing with yourself.
A temporal physical puzzle contraption
where you play with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Well, so we'll explore that a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too. Joey's come up with some pretty good stuff recently. So, speaking of good stuff, this is one of my favorites in recent time. This is a character she has dubbed Cranky.
Cranky.
I think Cranky's awesome.
I like Cranky.
And I think our audience liked Cranky a lot. I love, the other thing I like about Joey's illustrations is these pa and po sounds that the characters make.
Yeah, she does put these odd sort of sound effects in her drawings. Is it like a Chinese thing? Because like in the West, you probably have like kapow and splats and stuff.
Do you not know this about the different ways in which different people around the world make different sounds? So have you ever heard the Chinese version of the sound? So we all universally pretty much say meow for cats, but some places they say mao. So like if you're in Thailand, they don't say meow, they say mao, mao, mao. So here in Thailand, or I'm sorry, here in China, to hear a dog bark is wah wah wah, not what we say, which is rough, rough, woof, rough, or woof, woof. So I think that you're onto something here. These are the Chinese versions of the Batman whiff, pow, boom, po, and pa.
All the po.
I don't know. But I love this enemy, and not only do I love this enemy because I want to go into battle and fight it, but I see there's a possibility here that beating on this enemy a bit causes these two to split in two. So you think you've beat them, but then this thing comes out and continues fighting you on its own, or maybe they split up and now you've got two of them coming after you at the same time.
Yeah, are they split? I don't think they're ever split.
No, I'm saying they could.
Oh, they could, yes.
We're imagining things here, Martin.
If the doll popped out of Cranky.
You beat Cranky, and Cranky seems to have died, but then the doll boy comes crawling out of him and continues to fight.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Multi-stage bosses.
Exactly. So I think that could be really fun.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just sort of a suicide bomber. Like, once Cranky's dead, he kind of drags himself after you and then blows up.
Crawling at you.
He doesn't have to be actively fighting with you.
Yeah.
But he's a fantastic enemy.
I like Cranky. Everyone in the chat seems to like Cranky.
There's another thing I've always wanted to do, which is to see enemies like this assembling themselves as you move through these areas. So if you can imagine a section of the game where there are lots of doll and bear parts sort of strewn around, and they all kind of wiggle, and they all kind of try to come at you, but it's not until like the doll meets the bear that it stands up, and now you got to fight. But if you can imagine an entire room filled with, or a whole level filled with bits that are sort of moving about, you wouldn't have time to shoot at them all. You'd just sort of constantly wonder at what point do the right combinations come together.
It's like the scene in Akira, the nursery with all the dolls and toys and stuff broken apart and whatnot.
That's true. That is a good
scene.
That is a fantastic scene in that film. So yeah, this is listed as a mini boss, but I do think that throughout the game we probably anticipate seeing quite a few characters along sort of that theme.
I hope so.
Yeah. Now, on the theme of doll-like things, this week I am heading down to Yiwu, and I'm going down there for the express purpose of finding a manufacturer who can build a doll.
Specifically, a white rabbit doll.
A white rabbit doll.
Let's quickly do these super chats. Mad Mousy, thank you, super chatting us. Maybe Cranky would split once the head has been defeated, then maybe the doll part would crawl after Alice if the bear head is defeated, or vice versa.
Exactly.
Defeat one half or the other half, whichever's easiest.
There you go.
The other half comes for you.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat, Mad Mousy.
Good idea.
Appreciated. Good idea. We got to get all these ideas added to the wiki.
They will be.
Good.
They certainly will, with all of our wiki people keeping tabs on it.
Awesome.
Joachim Olsen again. Thank you. I think it should sound like the doll is doing the voice for the bear. But at half health, the bear rips off the doll part and screams at you in the voice of a child and attacks in a feral way.
Nice. It's a
Creepy.
good one. Yeah, like that. Joaquin Olsen, thank you for the idea and for the super chat.
Yeah, like that one.
You could imagine like that area being filled with the I don't know if they existed in the Victorian era, but if they did, it would be great. Like the little wah-wah makers. You flip them and they go, so if you could imagine Alice collecting those as sort of distraction devices, you know, she can get the little cry box and then chuck it somewhere and it'll go and attract.
Did they exist back then?
Probably not.
It's worth a Google, but yeah, probably not.
The old Victorian wow box.
Is that what you call them? Wow boxes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, so where are we?
Rabbit.
Right. So this
Plushie.
is the design for the rabbit, and this is showing the progression. So this is from Omri. Now he's done a little bit of referencing here. This is the family picture. Now I actually think this is Omri's version of the family picture. Yeah, we have right there behind us, actually in the studio. Then there is a version of the White Rabbit from the intro movie of the first game, and then of the intro movie of the second game. And now this is the work that Omri has done to redesign the rabbit for a plush toy, and of course also for the new game. This was the image of the in-game doll from Madness Returns. Now, I love this doll. This would be kind of where I'd want the doll to end up if I was going to collect a White Rabbit. I am kind of curious, though, what people think. Obviously, the doll, from a historical perspective, shouldn't be quite as beat up, but I don't know that I want to collect this doll as much as this doll. I'd prefer to have the really fucked up doll.
I think so.
Now, I was joking with somebody about the distressing of the doll, and if you go to a factory and you say, we'd like you to make us a toy, but we want it to be broken.
Yeah, they might not quite get that. It would need quite the explaining.
But the funny thing is, in our experience, making things with factories is that they oftentimes screw it up. Now, I wonder if we ask them to make it broken, we'd actually get perfectly made dolls.
Maybe.
Sort of that reverse psychology. But if we go in there and we say make it perfect, it'll come out looking like this.
It'll come out perfectly broken.
Exactly.
Brokenly perfect. Blade Siskadol, super chats. Thank you. What will it take to give Alice a German suplex ability? But just kidding, doesn't really mean that. Just some Lulu treat money. Is she getting fat? I sent a picture of Lulu to my friend and she said that she thought she was putting weight on.
Lulu is getting fat. She's getting old. She's growing little gray hairs.
Oh no.
This is what happens, Martin. It's just like with you. You're getting fat and old and you're growing little gray hairs. It also happens to be happening to me.
Oh no.
So yeah.
God damn you, life.
This is what happens. Okay, so back to the White Rabbit. So this is the doll's progression. Now, of course, this is the original version. We need to figure out, is this what we're aiming for? Is this what we're manufacturing? He's actually done up a kind of like manufacturing guide, and that of course shows the doll in a slightly more distressed fashion.
Yep. Ray Weatherford, super chats. Thank you very much. Had a thought for a grenade type weapon, a Russian nesting doll. It would be multi-grenade that the explosions get bigger the smaller the doll gets. Again, is this a familiar one? I've heard the Russian doll idea before, but maybe not as a grenade.
Yeah, I like the Russian doll idea. I mean, for sure, the idea that you'd carry them around, and then, as Ray said, potentially they get more powerful as they get smaller. I could also imagine that a Russian nesting doll as a weapon, you'd throw it out, and it might be that they go out and they pop out and they form a line, and then in that line they defend or they attack. That was actually one of the ideas that I think we touched upon, with the Nutcracker weapon was that if it's got a bit of a brain, a bit of a personality, you would be able to leave it somewhere and it would defend on your behalf, or maybe you could have a little army of them. So that's a great idea, Ray. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
We always like grenade type weapons in general.
Where were we?
So this is the design that I'm going to take with me down to Iwu. And if you don't know, I do have a video over on my YouTube channel, which presumably you're on right now if you're watching this. But if you go and you look it up after the live stream, there is a video I made of myself going to Iwu. And I tell you, Iwu is absolutely mental. It is essentially the... I'm trying to think, like, how do you describe this? It is the showroom for every product and every factory that is made in China. And I mean, we're talking about, and you can see here on these Google image results, we're talking about these markets. If you look here, I think you can see, like, this image. This is essentially the size of a small city.
Wow.
These are the districts. And so you imagine this is called the CBD. This is the Central Business District. This is all of the skyscrapers and office buildings and whatnot that service this town. And then these are the districts. Now, this distance along the road here is multiple kilometers. And that's just one series of buildings in District 1. And then, so to walk this would take you the better part of some hours.
It's a big old place.
It is a massive place. So anyway, I'm going there tomorrow morning. And the purpose of that is to find people who make, as you can see in this image, plush dolls.
Plush doll heads in this image.
Yeah.
Super chats coming in thick and fast. Alice on Elm Street. What if the nesting doll sucked an enemy inside and exploded, destroying the enemy?
It's a good one.
It's a good idea. Kind of sinister as well.
That is, especially to see it suffering as it gets sucked into the,
And grotesque ghoul.
Is there any other kind of ghoul?
Tokyo ghoul.
Okay.
Just wanted to wish you guys luck working on my Alice cosplay as we speak. Really enjoy the streams.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, Alice on Elm Street, and thank you, Grotesque Ghoul, both of you, for your support. We will spend that on non-fat, low-fat diet treats for Lulu. That's why
normal margaritas for us.
That's why she's getting fat. It's all the treats. It's all the super chats. So yeah, back to the doll. This is tomorrow's mission, is to go down there and find a factory that can do this. So I will be taking with me a bit of design example for them, and we will see if we can't get this version made. Now, this other image is Omri showing the progression that we might see as Alice follows the rabbit into the game. I should say into Wonderland from the Asylum. Now, I'm not sure about this exactly. I'm thinking there's a part of me that really wants the rabbit that we follow around in Wonderland to be sort of closer to this end of the spectrum. I don't know that in Asylum he's sort of fully become this rabbit that we know from the first two games. As we've seen in some of the previous images, there is a kitten version of the Cheshire Cat. There are some of the versions of the characters that are presented as sort of young versions. And for me, I think this is one of those characters that might be nice to represent in a sort of young version.
Right. At what point in the first game do you see the white rabbits? Does it have chance? I mean, if it stayed in this like chibi form in Asylum, would it have enough time to like transform before American McGee's Alice?
Well, I think that first, to answer your question, you see the white rabbit in Alice's arm almost at the beginning of, it's in the very first intro cinematic. It's quite a kind of famous image from that first game because it's that rabbit that turns to Alice in her arms and says, "Save us, Alice." And so he's the first Wonderland character that you see in the first game. And so, yeah, I mean, I think we fall into Wonderland and he's there, almost immediately, and Alice is following him. So we've already kind of established that he's there, he's in her arm, in the asylum, and then she follows him into Wonderland.
All right. So maybe there's no transforming.
Well, all he's got to do is run around a corner, and I mean, yeah, the idea that we would see him transform before our eyes, I don't think that's going to happen. So I had already said that to Omri in my email to him, that I don't think we're going to see this sort of like Hulk smash transformation.
No, I imagined it that you'd see White Rabbit, and then a bit later there'd be another cutscene, and now he's wearing a hat, and a bit later there's another cutscene. He's got a bit of fur. It's a transition.
Yeah, well, we can think about it. We'll try to figure this out. It's definitely one of the things that we're working on figuring out. In fact, if you go over and you look at the Asylum Wiki, the last time that I had a chance to paste anything into the Wiki with regards to the story stuff that I'm working on with RJ, it's actually the opening scene with lots of flashback and then Alice following the White Rabbit into Wonderland. So this is sort of it's already starting off that the White Rabbit is seen in the asylum, as you can see here, and then we're going to be following the White Rabbit into Wonderland at the beginning of Asylum.
Yeah.
So we've got to fill that in. Now, we are almost to the end of art review, but there is another outfit from Omri, which, if you're over on Patreon, or you're not, you would have seen this circus dress.
Yep. This was shown before.
This was the first one,
yep.
Yes. And I finally admitted that I wasn't the biggest fan of this. I think I admitted that during the stream last week, and we also asked that Omri try to do a version closer to what you see the Tweedles wearing here. And of course, the Tweedles will be represented in the asylum itself as some of sort of the nurse or nurse assistants or interns or whatever you want to call them. But I kind of felt like Alice's dress, the hair, all these. I mean, we had a very mixed reception to this, and so I said to Omri,
some people didn't like the hair. Some people didn't like the harlequininess of the outfit.
Right.
It wasn't universally well received.
Yes. So we did this.
Ooh.
Now this one, I have to say, I love. There were quite a few people that were saying they're concerned that this hair is a bit too much like the Mad Hatter hair in the Johnny Depp Mad Hatter, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess I kind of see that.
It's out at the side.
So this is the Johnny Depp. God, this is such a horrible character, and this is why I never went and saw the second film, because this character in the first film was so incredibly repulsive, and it was the dance routine at the end that made me say,
what a fantastic dance that was.
Yeah.
We missed that super chat. Let's go back to that. Let's remember that.
Did we miss a super chat?
We did.
Okay. There you
go. Joachim Olsen again, coming in thick and fast with the super chats. Thank you. Thinks the rabbit should remain childish throughout Asylum, but get more rugged. His design should hint at Alice. Will eventually see him.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that that's fine. It's the idea that as the game progresses, the characters change to some degree. And I think we have discussed that idea not only for the characters that Alice encounters, but for Alice herself, because this is going to be a game that I think in large part revolves around transformation. And so we will probably see that.
Very probably.
Very probably. Thank you for that super chat. So this one, I didn't immediately think of the Mad Hatter when I saw this.
No.
But then again, I try to avoid looking at that Mad Hatter, so that might be why.
But it clearly looks a lot like that clown right there.
So this is, to my eye, a much better interpretation of the costume. I think that she would fit in more easily with the troupe, Tweedles.
I think so.
And Omri's suggestion for the story at this part of the game is that Alice essentially be conscripted into the circus.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments about that over on Patreon. I'm sure some of them have made it into my little questions and comments sheet. We'll get to those later.
Yeah, there's a lot contained in this concept and in the potential for a level based on a circus. Now, I mean, I know a lot of people find clowns and circuses in general to be terrifying. I know that when I was a boy, we had the Texas State Fair, and at the Texas State Fair, of course, there was a big top, and under the big top was a circus, and they had clowns. We also had all kinds of haunted houses and roller coasters and you name it. Did you have a fair as a child, Martin?
Not in my city, but if you went to the seaside, as we would call it in England, like Blackpool or Skegness or something, they would have entertainment, very circus-like. I have a very early memory of actually having my picture taken on a Polaroid camera sitting on an elephant. Wow. Surprised at how hairy they are.
In England, of all places.
Yeah,
there you go.
Go figure.
Wow. But I'm sure whatever fair you went to was nowhere near as big as the State Fair of Texas.
I don't think it was.
Nah, that's okay. There's really very little that you can say about Texas that isn't big.
Super chat came in. Mary Quartz. Don't you think the 70 or 90% would be a good Asylum rabbit? Love you guys. Kissy face.
Thank you, Mary Quartz. That's very much appreciated. And thank you for I'm assuming that's 50 pesos. Very sweet of you. Do we think that the 70 or 90% would be a good Asylum rabbit? Well, I think what Omri's trying to do here is present a range that it is going to potentially transform over. But I get your point. Yeah, I think that for the rabbit she follows around in Wonderland, somewhere in this range, in the middle here, could be our rabbit. I don't think I want to go this far. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But certainly what we're going to do on Friday is I'm going to go off and I'm going to see if I can't get this rabbit made. And then we would be putting this up as a patron reward.
That'd be, I think people would love that to bits.
I think so too.
What else? Are these, did we miss another super chat?
I think that's it.
If you scroll up a bit, just double check. Right. Taylor Gowan, thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Loving the shoes. Need more defined brows, though. I guess this is the clown one.
Ah, okay.
Let's see. There's eyebrows get a lot more comments than I would have thought.
Yes, we've had quite the eyebrow debate over on the Discord.
And Baby Shorty, super chatting us. Thank you. The dance was insanely cringy. But the second one actually had some depth, I think it kind of needed. Was overly hyped when I heard Tim B was directing. So he's saying the second movie is better.
I have heard that.
Maybe you should watch it.
Once
Get
burned,
that dance out of your head.
No. Once
I know it's
burned,
hard.
twice shy. I'm not going back. It's offensive. That first movie was absolutely offensive.
And Baby Shorty, straight back again with a super chat. Would be interesting to see you and Tim Burton team up for a movie, but that might be pushing it. Best of luck. Baby Shorty is the name.
Yeah, well, could do. I've never met Burton, which is funny. I know that I've obviously heard of him, and I know that he's heard of me, but somehow the meeting has never occurred. So, but I think maybe that's one of those things where we're sort of like alternate universes versions of each other, and if we were to meet, then we would annihilate each other.
Perhaps, so best not. Hunt 9009. Sound like some sort of robot. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Look forward each week to the awesome updates. Here's towards getting some well-earned drinks from Kika and Tonks.
Thank you, Kika and Tonks.
Thank you.
I think that Tonks is someone who won a prize.
Tonks. There was somebody called Black Tonks, wasn't there?
That might be the same. And I don't think we've sent that prize out yet. Sorry about that. Speaking of prizes, it is prize time. And what are we doing? We're going to give away the embroidered patches again. Is that right, Martin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
I was going to try to give away one of these posters, but Martin said...
Should we let them choose this one?
Yeah, we'll let them choose. You can choose the poster, which we're offering over on Mysterious.
This is the mini Chesh.
This is the mini Cheshire Cat poster. It kind of looks like that.
Looks a lot like that.
You could choose that, or you could choose the embroidered patches.
So whoever wins this one, choose the form of your destructor, as Zool said.
And what would you like them to spam there, Martin?
Spam what you think is on that cup.
What do you think is on the cup?
Yeah.
That's the spam. Okay.
That's it. Let us know. Let's get Nightbot fully populated with people and see who's lucky.
And yeah, while you guys are spamming the chats, you can know that we are actually offering this mini Red Cheshire print. There's a flash sale. It only lasts another day, but you could get that for $25, and that is autographed, and then we can mail that out to you anywhere in the world. And they turned out really nice. We had these up. It was sort of like just because I got a new printer, and it was amazing how beautiful the prints were. And then I just kind of put them in the shop as I don't know, a test, a lark. But I was a jape. I was really surprised by how many of them we moved.
Yeah, lots of chats coming in. Some people have got it.
There you go.
Yes, we have some wise viewers.
We do.
Wise old viewers.
All right, here we go. We are going to roll it.
Roll it.
Alice Vanted.
Alice Vanted.
Congratulations, Alice Vanted. You will need to let us know, first of all, which prize you select, either the mini print of the Red Cheshire image or the embroidered patches, and then you'll need to mail to mysterious@americanmcgee.com, include your mailing address, your phone number, and your email address, which of course we'll have, and tell us which prize you've selected.
And as ever, if you don't write the address down in a proper, legible, useful form, you won't get the stuff, because we don't want to have to figure it out.
This is true. Right, so this is the other piece of art we received from Omri this week. This is, of course, the Rage Dress.
Yeah, this one's pretty popular.
This was super popular.
Got a lot of good comments going on online.
Yeah, very, very, very popular. And I actually used this image in the mailing for the Chaos Coin update, because we're only, a day?
A day.
We're
depending
a day away.
On when Patreon, what time zone they're in.
Yeah. So we are very near to the end of the Chaos Coin promotion over on Patreon. And so I used this image to illustrate what you'll look like if you miss out.
And we definitely will. We talked this morning. No matter how much we marketed it, no matter how much we said it, no matter how much we told people to tell their friends, we guarantee that as soon as this Chaos Coin thing has finished on Patreon, we're going to receive emails and messages from people. Oh my God, I didn't know about this. Oh, can I still get it? Oh,
yes.
Please let me in.
And they're going to look like this.
And they're going to look like this.
Yeah, for sure. So the Rage Dress, of course, was a power-up that she had in the first Alice game. Now, I have to say, while I think that the power-up itself is interesting, the design on the distribution of it is reminiscent of like how we did it in the early first-person shooter games. That is to say, like picking up a quad damage in Quake. There is a rage box, and then you pick up the rage box and she transforms into this, and after she transforms into this, she does massive damage. I don't mind the use of it. Like, I love going around doing massive damage, and it's also really fun to see Alice jib things again in the Doom and Quake style. What I find kind of annoying is that you only get to use that wherever the box has been dropped, wherever we put it in the level.
Right. Can't just trigger it when you want.
And I think that's one of the things I liked about where we went with Hysteria mode, was that Hysteria could be triggered essentially like the Incredible Hulk, just whenever she got low on health.
Yeah.
So I think for the new game, for Asylum, we probably want to... Well, I'd like to have the design be something where this type of thing, a rage mode, a berserk mode, whatever you want to call it, and maybe we'll have rage and hysteria and something else, something new. But I'd like those things to be accessible when and where you want them.
Yeah. It would have to be thought about, I guess if you trigger it on a boss might make things too easy. There's got to be some balance thought about, but certainly choosing when you want it to power up would be better. It's a more modern gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Derpy Horse.
Haven't seen Derpy Horse in a while.
Yeah. Yep, still mentioning Hamill as Alice.
Yes, Hamill
It'll
as
never
Alice.
Die.
Apparently
It'll never
not.
die.
You want it to die, but it just never dies. I don't understand.
It's like a Meeseeks that can't fulfill its destiny.
Right.
It can't go away.
It's it just doesn't seem to die.
Lucas Severin also super chatting in the Circus level. Thank you, by the way. Will we have to fight representations of other Asylum inmates? Because the Asylum is a circus, the inmates are the circus freaks / performers. Again, this goes into the maybe category. It's nothing that says you can't, but again, these things are a little while away from being fully designed. So yeah, again, it's a maybe.
Could be.
Good idea, though.
Yeah, I like that idea. And for those of you who, and you're probably happy that you don't know this meme, but there was a meme.
The meme of one.
There was one person propagating the meme, and that is the meme of Hamill as Alice. Now, I don't exactly recall, but I think somehow this was supposed to get the movie made, having Mark Hamill play Alice. I don't know.
I think he'd be up for it, but...
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. So thank you, Derpy Horse, for the super chat, and there you go. Hamill as Alice.
Are we done with art? Is it all done?
We're done.
What did we get to?
We're done with art, so we can go now to questions and comments, and I will play the game. I do just want to very quickly, though, mention that the Chaos Coin promotion is literally going to end in about, 48 hours?
I mean, to be safe, probably call it less than a day.
A
day at most, because we don't know when Patreon has the end of their month.
And I have to say, first of all, I still am very confused by all the confusion that this has caused. But I just want to make this very clear. If you are listening to this now live, it is 10:09 a.m. Hong Kong time on August 30th. That is Thursday. The year is 2018. If you're listening to my voice at that time or near to that time, or within 24 hours of that time, you can still get the Chaos Coin by going over to Patreon and pledging at $35 or more, and then leaving your pledge there until September 17th.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. There literally are no other questions that you need to ask at this point in time.
And yet somehow people ask many questions.
The amount of questions, I have said before, I do believe if you were to figure out a way to harness the power of the creativity, we could solve the world's energy problems. We would no longer need solar or wind or oil.
Just question energy.
Just question energy. Especially questions around this issue, this coin. Anyway, if you want the coin, go do the thing. Don't ask questions. Just do it.
Do it.
Do it. And then also, let's just mention really quickly that later today we are going to set up the next patron goal. This is going to be another set of patches. This time, a whole new lineup of designs. And we will put these up over on Patreon. And I think we're going to set these to trigger at 3,000 patrons, because we're somewhere around 2,500 now, 2,600. And these will be made available, shipped for free to all patrons at $10 or more around the world. So this is an incentive for those of you who are patrons right now to stick around.
Yeah, stick with us, please.
Stick with us and get more patches.
Yep. Super chats. What did we miss? Scroll. I think we did that one. Retro Ace. Cool name. Thanks for the super chat. Actually, a friend of mine suggested Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Alice. Who would you suggest as Alice Survey Monkey? It's got like 300 people in now. I mean, some are repeated, but I'm certain that name is in there.
Well, there she is. That is Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Quite like her.
And I can't say I know exactly what I've seen her in, but I do know I have seen her in some things.
Scott Pilgrim, was she not?
I haven't seen that movie.
You should do. It's really cool.
I feel like that's one of those movies that I'm going to get yelled at for not having seen.
It might be.
Yeah.
It is just such good, light-hearted fun.
Is it not called Scott Pilgrim Saves the Universe?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Is there a
something.
second one called Saves the Universe?
Not sure.
Okay, maybe I know more about this than you do.
Phoenix Phantasma. Maybe that's the same Phoenix that we've got some questions from later. Thank you for the super chat. Hi, maybe the rage mode can be activated via some sort of potion or other consumable you can collect and use whenever you want.
Yes,
maybe.
Exactly.
There are ways of having it triggerable when you decide. You know, like say have a collection, a potion, an amulet, or it could be like, you know, you build up your rage like Crouton does. Trigger it whenever you want.
There are a lot of ways you could do that, and
it can be done.
So I actually like the idea of a collectible which you then hold on to, and then can deploy at some later portion, some later date in the game. You know, again, one of the things that I dislike about the way that it works in American McGee's Alice, is that you only have access to it when the level designer decides to give you access to it. And I think actually I would be okay with that if at the same time the levels also had some fantastic use case for that mode, right? So like when we were building Doom and Quake levels, we did something whereby if there were a lot of enemies and we wanted to destroy them, we would give you access to exploding barrels. And so as you walked into a room, you would shoot the barrels. You know, this is something that, like, if you've played the recent Zelda game, similar thing. You'll come into one of the enemy encampments, and you'll have barrels that you can shoot at and blow them up.
Yep. Ravina Black super chats us. Thank you for that. If you did a Chaos Heart necklace, like the design for the coin you did initially, I'd buy that. Also, really love the Hysteria mode, the Scream, the Pose, the Blast of Power. Hope it's in Asylum.
All right.
So yeah, what's
we
that
are
about the necklace?
We are working on, and thank you for the super chat, we are working on a whole new collection of jewelry. This has been something that myself and my girlfriend Yen are sort of learning as we go in terms of where and how to get jewelry made. And yeah, we'll see. That was because Alice on Elm Street said, here comes the endless death.
Right.
Yeah, so I just thought I would die. But anyway, yeah, do expect there to be more jewelry coming in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got hammered with some super chats. Thank you, everyone. We will get to them. I don't think we missed any. So yes, Alice on Elm Street just did one. So now Baby Shorty is back. You guys are awesome for the responses. Keep up the good work. Can't wait for the coin. And would you guys ever consider going to cons? Mary from Die Hard, McLean's daughter. That's a weird ending to the comment, but you go to cons on occasion.
I do go to cons every once in a while if they invite me, and then also they accommodate my travel and whatnot. So yeah.
I don't think anyone would be interested in me going to a con. It's like, who's this guy? So yeah.
You're the font lord.
Yes, apparently. Joachim Olsen super chats. Maybe Rage or Hysteria pickups could be earned given based on performance. Rage for good combat performance, Hysteria for bad combat performance, or bad performance, but with drawbacks. Yeah, two different types of power-up depending on how well you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, not heard anyone mention that before. It's a good one.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, I do know that one of the things we have talked about with regards to PTSD and emotion is that as Alice proceeds through the game, it could be that she's collecting emotion, and then emotion could be an element that goes into crafting. And so you could craft not just her clothing and weapons, but perhaps we could also craft something along the lines of her power-ups.
Can you scroll back for me a
little?
little?
Martin, you're supposed to be not just font lord, but also chat lord.
We got a lot in at once. Yep. Benedict Da Vinci super chatted. Very similar to the previous message, but rage mode could be charged up as you fight and do combos. I think that's a popular method. We should do that one, maybe.
I like that one.
Yeah. And Alice on Elm Street back again. Thank you. Hysteria mode builds up as you take damage. Rage mode builds up as you do damage. So again, the two paths of power-ups.
So I think what we ought to do is get these suggestions, the different proposals for how these modes work. We need to get these recorded over on the wiki. And then we can have a bit of a wiki discussion about how exactly we implement this.
They certainly will be recorded. We have 4, possibly 5 wiki editors.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, we do want to try to leverage the wiki to collect all the ideas that you are presenting here, and then we're going to have a debate. And I do think that that means that as we go forward, there are going to be live streams. Oh no. So there will be live streams, which are essentially sort of design. Oh man. Oh,
what geez, you doing?
Rick. I don't know. Just I'm exploring.
Pay attention.
I'm exploring the depths of Wonderland. So anyway, yeah, we will have live streams where I think we should spend more time going through these specific points, these specific questions about the implementation of design features, and then deciding which way we're going to go.
Okay. Taylor Goen, super chats. Thank you. I'm following the suggestions in the chat as well. Yes, Taylor is one of our wiki people.
Yes.
So yes.
Okay, now
Threat not American.
It seems that I chose a incredibly dumb place to do a save. Look at that.
On a sliding doodah.
Yeah, when there's no control, sort of to get out of that. I thought I was saving, boy. Okay,
Yay.
I did it. I managed to make it.
Now save again.
I'm working on it.
Victorian super chats saying, will Kitten Cheshire sound like a deep-voiced man?
Well, Kitten Cheshire is going to be voiced by Roger Jackson. I don't think that we can have a Cheshire Cat and not have it be Roger Jackson, but I do know that Roger Jackson can do more than just a deep-voiced Cheshire. It would be, I think, within his range, and you go look him up on YouTube and listen to sort of his reel, you will find that, fuck's sake, you will find that Roger Jackson has a lot of really interesting voices that he's done for cartoons and games over the years, and I can imagine that he, being as talented as he is, could swing a Cheshire Kitten and make it sound right.
How good would that be if we got him on, like Discord chat on the stream, and he did some sample voices?
Well, good that we bring that up, because I am talking with him on email, and he has agreed to come on to one of our future streams. So we will have Roger Jackson here, and you will be able to ask him that question. And you can also ask him questions related to his other projects that he's famous for. You know, he is the voice of Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. He's also the voice of Ghostface Killer from the Scream movies.
Wow. Multi-talented.
The call is coming from inside the house. Yes, so let's get. Oh no,
jeez, Rick.
Jeez. Well, let's get Roger on here with us.
I think we
and
should.
We can talk about that.
Right. Finally, I can get to some of these patron suggestion comments. Let's hammer these. This section I'm doing here is from the Joey image and the tarot card posts. Ina suggests the Nutcracker could be encouraging Alice. Like, yes, that's it, hit him. And warning Alice if there's an enemy behind her. Give her pointers on how to deal with a specific type of enemy.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the old sort of traveling companion as a head. Yeah, it would have a German voice.
That sounds good. I'm sorry I can't say more, but I'm just watching myself slowly rotate towards a certain death, and
It's coming.
Well, it seems I just got smushed by something. I'm not exactly sure what that was about.
Smushed.
It does feel like the game wants me to progress in this direction. Oh, I see. Probably once this slides down, I'm then meant to.
Wow, what an amazing contraption.
Amazing contraption.
Who designed that?
Not me. If I did, I've completely forgotten it. So,
Norel, super chats asking if there will be a Cheshire Kitten plushie.
yes, that is something else we're looking at.
Certainly seems that's what many people want.
Ooh, I remember this. This is going to be some laser beam out of eye battle action. So yes, we are going to look at plush toy manufacturing in general, and one of those would be the Cheshire Kitten. What I want to do first is the White Rabbit. I'm assuming, well, this is a good question for people in the chat. Would you rather have the White Rabbit plush toy or the Cheshire Kitten plush toy as the next big Patreon reward?
I think Cheshire would probably win that one.
Don't influence them, Font Lord.
They're not influenced, they've got their own minds.
Yeah, well, People are influenced. That's why they claim that they turned off comments in news articles, because people would read a news article about a particular topic and then they'd scroll down to the comments and they'd see that there was doubt about the topic at hand, and they would change their mind. So you are what is called a KLO, a key, or KOL, key opinion leader. And people look to you, Font Lord, for
their font suggestions.
I've just burnt up. Yeah, so be careful, Martin.
Okay.
Be careful.
Josh Hobbs has some form of question / suggestion. Says they're from Australia. Basically, their question is about the EU stream. The EU stream that you did all on your lonesome.
Okay.
To the typhoon.
Sorry about that.
Basically,
I apologize.
Are we going to do that on a more regular basis?
Yes. We
are.
are.
Should it be 50-50?
I don't know about it being 50-50, but you know, for sure we ought to do that more often.
I think so as well.
Just, you know, for those of you who are in the EU and you're wondering why we don't do them more often, they obviously, you know, they're not convenient for you when we do them at this time, and they're not convenient for us when we do them at that time. So, yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna die. I'm on fire.
We're all gonna die.
I do die a lot.
You do. What else we got here from Lily Cromwell? Loves Cranky, as does everyone. This is a question about the tarot deck. Are you making minor arcana too? Are you making 10 of wands, for example, or just major? What's that? Is there like two types of tarot deck? Is it like a major and a minor?
No. I mean, you have to think about it just simply like the face cards and the sort of royal suits in a typical card deck. So the same is true in a tarot deck. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, I know I found a strategy now to avoid being killed by the Jabberwock. That is to throw myself into the lava. Exactly. Good luck killing me, Mr. Jabberwock. I'll be in the lava. So yeah, the answer is yes. We would like to do... I'm just horrible at my own game. Can we just stop now?
Maybe.
This is not how I wanted to spend the morning, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been a good week, and I can just see this is going to be a whole bunch of frustration. Anyway, back to the question. Yes, we would like to do the artwork for both the major and minor.
Okay.
Yes.
Please scroll back. There were some super chats.
Oh, well, that sounds fantastic, Martin.
Oh, jeez. Ooh, was there one before that? Yeah, I think we did that one.
That's a lot. They're all suggesting whether they'd like a plush kitten or...
Richard Meredith. A plush American McGee.
How about a blow-up doll American McGee?
Maybe one of those.
With places where the Jabberwock can have his way with me.
Nago's Moo super chats. Will Alice Asylum have an art book with costume / environment art?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we have talked about that quite a bit.
And Alice on Elm Street asks, any chance of an art book for the first game?
Probably not a very big chance of that.
Not
the
now.
The reason being that a lot of the artwork would have been lost. So a lot of the original concept artwork that you know was sort of behind the first game, there are pieces and bits of it that you know you could find here and there, but generally speaking, a lot of that artwork got lost.
Wow.
So sad. It was a long time ago. You gotta remember.
There you go. No, probably.
I mean, there might be a section. Well, that was fast. I just immediately did not survive long at all. So yeah, I mean, there could be a section. Let's say that we do an art book for Is it not the wand, this thing that's necessary for defeating this guy? You don't know.
Do you need advice from the chat?
Yeah, why not? Because I'm just going to continue to die in
Okay.
circles repeatedly until someone helps me out here.
Apparently Alice on Elm Street cheated. They found a blind spot. You can
That's a
do
good
that.
idea. I like that idea. Let's try to cheat. Let's hide in the rocks.
You could hide in the rock.
You could hide in the
He's a
lava.
big guy. Ravina Black super chats saying this is basically American McGee's third-degree burn simulator.
Ooh, burn! That's like a double entendre. That's a third-degree entendre of burn within a burn.
You do seem to be engaged in burnception.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Like, what are you really meant to do here? Because there doesn't really seem to be anywhere to hide, and you know, nothing really seems to be bothering this guy.
Viviana suggests hiding in the griffin.
Like Luke in a tauntaun.
Yes.
Is that right? That's a great idea. Thank you, Viviana.
Give
If
it a
only
try.
Han Solo were here or
Try
Mark
it.
Hamill were here, we could do that.
You keep doing that. Lucas Severin sent in a question. Why is it that when we first see the Dollmaker in Madness Returns, he has a pair of regular arms, and yet in his boss fight, he doesn't?
Well, I think in the boss fight, does he not have the puppety arms? And they are on strings, and I think that the main reason is just from a kind of weapon and enemy design standpoint. We want to be able to have him reach out into that environment and attack Alice. And he couldn't do that if he had regular arms.
Sorry, I'm thinking of regular legs.
Is that
From Rick and Morty's
Yes.
interdimensional
I'm trying to
TV.
think where that came from. Right. Well, you know, it is also the regular time for the regular.
So yeah, so
I like this griffin.
the
on his-
answer is there's basically no real reason. It was just a boss design.
Well, there is a real reason. There's a very specific real reason, and the real reason is, how else are the arms going to be on those little strings and come out and get you?
Okay.
All right. Contest time.
Contest time.
let's,
Stretch time.
Let's
Show off my
ask
t-shirt time.
people to fill up the chat with
Which was your favorite interdimensional TV thing?
most people are not going to get that.
It's my favorites.
But,
There's so many.
So what are we giving away?
I like Two Brothers.
Is it going to be
Let's
You gonna do the cup?
let's do the cup at the end.
okay?
Two guys, one cup.
2 guys, 1 cup. Well, there's also a dog here.
Two guys and a dog and a cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody, Lucas Severin, sends along $2 and says she doesn't survive the fire in this version. I think that's meant to be a joke. Haha, very funny. So yeah, do you know that someone in the YouTube comments of last week's stream was upset about our referring to this section as spam?
Yeah, they misunderstood.
They misunderstood. So here is Benedict Da Vinci saying, with a $14.99 super chat, thank you very much. What if Alice's different psychological states progress what power-up mode you get? For example, when Alice is going through grief, she has 1, and when she's going through anger, it's a rage mode. Yeah, I think it is kind of in line with the sort of thing we've been talking about, is that her power-ups and the ability to craft power-ups or to craft elements on the dresses all link back to the collection of or implementation of different emotional collectibles. So like in a lot of games or movies, you have people doing kind of, collecting the shards. And so this would be the same. Collect the emotional shards.
Yeah.
So good one.
Yeah, going back to what you said about that comment in last week's video, somebody was upset because they thought that I was dismissive of other people's questions and regarded it as spam if it wasn't a super chat. Whereas literally we were just asking people to spam the comments so they had a chance at winning with Nightbot.
And then you said something like, look at all that spam.
Yes.
Anyway, so it is contest time. We are going to give you a choice to get either the embroidered patches or you can get the mini Cheshire print. And so let's ask Nightbot.
And I did see a super chat go past.
I saw that. So there you go. Missy Matute.
Missy Matute. Where's my
Congratulations. You have won your choice of either a embroidered patch set or a mini Cheshire print. You will need to email mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Include your mailing address, your phone number, your selection of the thing which you've won. And yeah, we'll get that mailed out to you. And as we like to remind everybody, if you make me work to sort out your address, you will not receive your prize.
So get it right.
I should say, for those of you who have won during previous streams, you will get an email from me once your winning has been processed, in which I'll say got it or congratulations or thanks. But I am a little bit behind on those, so please bear with me. It has been incredibly, insanely busy around here.
It's only going to get busier next month.
Whew.
Ooh.
All right.
Naira K super chatted. That American then scrolled past before.
She said, "Long live Font Lord."
Thank you. Long live me.
Thank you.
I learnt about another font the other day on Discord, the Zalgo font.
Wow.
That's the one that kind of makes things look messed up and hellish. Apparently people don't like it.
Well, I mean, being the Font Lord, it does kind of seem like you ought to know these kinds of things, right?
I do now.
This is... I love
Truth Decay.
I have to say, like, because we've talked a bit about there being some stealth elements in the new game, and I have to say, I love sniping or distance murdering things in games. I like when enemies don't realize like where you are or how they're dying. I get a lot of pleasure out of that. I can't be the only one.
I guess. I think most people just enjoy it because they've found a way to sort of get one over on the game.
Yeah, well, exactly. Whatever you want to call it. But there's a kind of an emotional, there's a gratification in just screwing over the monsters, right?
Yes, Truth Decay super chatted us. It scrolled past, but I kind of remember what it said. They've just joined us. Missed a bunch of the stream, I think. So watch it later. But he's asking, what is the art print for this month? Has it been decided yet? It has. We're doing the White Rabbit.
This one.
Only bigger.
Yeah.
This the White Rabbit. So yes, the people who are charged at the beginning of September at the relevant tier over on Patreon will be getting the full-sized version of the creepy White Rabbit. And we're probably going to do the Card Guard the month after that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to add one of those two to the mini print offer at Mysterious for maybe starting next week once the Cheshire Cat offer expires. Because those mini prints seem to be really, really popular. And there's people that are saying that they love the art prints, but they're sort of running out of space. And so the mini prints give them an option to hang these same images and with signatures and whatnot. Hang those in other kind of smaller strategic... exactly, Alice. That was a good death sound. But get to hang those in other locations around the house. So,
Blade Siskadol is super chatting us. Thank you very much. Has EA responded yet about what they think about the license proposal?
well, the initial response did contain the thought about the license proposal, just the general thought that it looked fantastic and that a lot more conversation was in order. But as you know, our guy is on vacation. Is it this time of year is sort of typical British people take vacation kind of time? I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, he did say he was going to be on vacation, and he was going to be getting back at the end of the month, which is right now. So it's now approaching the end of this week, the end of the month. So I suspect we will hear from him next week.
Soonish. We hope.
Yeah, I think so.
And yes, Alice. What's Alice's full name in the? Is that Alice in what land? I've done a brain fart.
Are you talking about in the chat?
Yeah, Elm Street.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Sorry. So they always choose the sniper option in games. If
Yes.
they do. I do love a good snipe.
Me too.
Yeah.
I really look forward to Alice having a kind of sneak around mode with some types of snipery weapons.
Play the Sniper Elite games.
I have. I think those are really fun. Those are the ones where it zooms in on
like
the anatomy.
X-rays and
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's just awful. But yeah, fantastic.
Gonna choke.
Don't choke, Font Lord.
I'll try not to. Noriel super chats. Does Alice get her original blue dress in the end? Because it's her first step finding herself and fighting, like forgetting a part of her back.
Yeah, we don't know exactly at what point. Look, somebody else fell in the lava that wasn't me. I'm not the only one. So we don't exactly know. We haven't decided just yet exactly where we're going to distribute the original blue dress to Alice, but it's it's possible that would be right at the start of the game, that it's in the sort of denial stage. She might get that. It hasn't been decided, but I do want to give that dress to her in this game, and certainly before the end of the game, because it's something that we would see her wearing in the asylum. Now, it could be that the blue dress is the ultimate dress. It's a sort of sign of the fully incorporated light and dark Alice, the shadow and the self, and that is then the reward that all of us recognize as being like, yes, that's Alice. That's the Alice we know. Excuse me.
Okay, moving on. Phoenix thinks it would be funny to have the Nutcracker as a mini-boss, and once defeated, then you get his head as the weapon.
Ooh, that's a great idea. I love that. That's a very, very good idea, especially if there's like a whole bunch of them and he's sort of the boss captain, or he's the mini boss captain, and then right into the soup. So yeah, I like that idea a lot. It's a fantastic idea. Let's please make sure that gets recorded over on the wiki with the page related to the Nutcracker.
Ray Weatherford super chats asking me what part of England I'm from. Do you know what part I'm from?
I thought you were from. I know that it's a place that has lots of green rolling hills, and
a lot of green
it's
up there.
Called Devon. No, not Devon. Huh? No.
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
It's
funny though, because if you say the wrong thing about where people are from in the UK, they take offense. They're like, no, would never be from, and then fill in the blank. And of course, us Americans are like, what? I don't know. Who cares?
It's for such a small country. We're quite proud of our little individual locations and accents that we have in those locations.
I'm pretty sure that's true of everybody in the world, Martin. We're all like that.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm up in Yorkshire. That's where I'm from.
Now, is there anything that comes from there that we non-Brits would be kind of aware of? Pudding.
Steel.
Where the pudding comes from?
Black pudding.
Yorkshire pudding.
Yorkshire puddings as well.
Yes.
Steel was famous for steel back in the day, but all that industry's kind of shut down now. Arctic monkeys, quite a big export these days. Pulp, if you were into indie music back in the 90s, were quite big. Human League. The Human League. Yeah, they were from Sheffield.
There you go.
Yeah. Peter Stringfellow, I think. Yeah.
Okay, you're now. I think you're coming to the end of the list of the things
I'm
that
struggling.
we know. I think you had us at pudding.
We missed a lot of super chats. You're gonna have to.
Well, it's not my fault that you're over there talking about obscure British whatsies that no one. Boy, and then you've got all those questions to get through, and
yeah. So we did that one. Taylor Goen sent a super chat during the spam. Sorry, I think we got to that.
I hope so.
Pretty sure.
I hope that's not meant to tell us that we're supposed to scroll back to a super chat.
I think we didn't miss one. If we did,
oh boy. Oh boy. All right, you guys don't send super chats during the spam, please.
I don't think we missed one.
I don't. It won't even go back that far. Rick. So there you go, Taylor.
Keep going. Stop. Nira K asks which of the dresses is your favorite?
Well, right now
it's the steampunk, isn't it?
No. What? Don't guess on my behalf and then guess incorrectly. Font Lord. I like the new dress, the harvest dress. The death dress is my favorite of the new ones. Of the dresses available in Madness Returns or in the original game, I do like her in the Hysteria mode. I think that one's fantastic.
It's good. You said steampunk though in the past.
I do like that one.
Yeah. Kate Nada. Super chats. Are art prints new each month for Patreon? To get old ones would be to buy from Mysterious, correct? Yes, it's a new one each month. They don't repeat, and I don't see any reason that they would repeat. So yes, they would have to be bought from Mysterious, or at the 3 for 35 tier on Patreon, you do get to choose after 3 months. So that's another way that you can get old prints.
There are 2 ways. Yeah. Do 3 for 35 or just go straight to Mysterious and buy it outright.
Virgil Hiltz, please increase the music volume. At least a bit. Thank you.
People keep doing this. They keep asking us to increase or decrease volume. I'm not really sure, but anyway, there you go. I increased the music volume. I hope you're happy.
Yeah.
Thank you for the £5, Virgil Hiltz.
Mary Quartz is back. Thank you for the super chat. Are you planning on releasing the Queen design yet? She's one of my favorites and haven't seen anything.
I suppose this question is in reference to the Queen design for her representation in Asylum.
I believe so.
I don't think we have done a character design for her yet. One of the artists that we have on and off on the team is Sunny. He's one of the Chinese artists, and he's done some really fantastic character art. He is coming back. He's going to do some new art for us, so I can throw him at that task, because I think of all of our artists, he might be the one sort of most appropriate for doing a representation of the Queen for Asylum. So let's get him on that.
He's coming back.
That's what I said.
Excellent. News to me. You're learning stuff at the same time I'm learning stuff, viewers.
Into the lava.
Benedict Da Vinci super chats to ask, how about a Van Helsing-like crossbow for a long-range weapon? Kind of flies in the face of toys as weapons for a child.
It really does. We are trying to arm her with the kind of weapons of the imagination, I guess you might say. So I'm guessing she's not seen Van Helsing, and that crossbows, as Martin said, really fall into like the type of category of the... I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe you do give your children crossbows as toys, but yeah, no. But, keep the weapon and whatnot suggestions coming.
Please do.
But let's keep in mind that we are trying to arm a child.
Ryder Studios super chats to ask, I really like the idea of us receiving the classic dress towards the end. I feel like it would have a huge impact that she's almost at the end.
Yeah, I really like that idea too, and I think we can probably sort of attribute that idea to whoever it was that previously mentioned that in the chat. And I hadn't really thought about like where or when we might. The best part,
walk into
which
it.
you missed because you're not wearing your headphones, is the pathetic little noise that he made. It was sort of like this. This is not. Why? Anyway, so I really like that idea as well, and so I think that's a fantastic suggestion, and I'm glad to hear other people kind of get that. So why don't we stick that in the wiki as well? Let's get the concept of earning the blue dress as sort of the final dress and obviously the visual indicator of her accomplishment. Let's get that into the wiki and we'll try to get that into the game.
Yes.
See how fun this is, Martin? Designing the game with the fans.
It is.
This is the thing and we said this before, this is very much like what happens in a official game development, game design meeting. So say for instance when we were working on Madness Returns, is that we'd all sit around and we'd come up with ideas. But I have to say I think we're coming up with better and more interesting ideas and more quickly via this method than we did when we were working in a sort of official capacity. And I think that's because you've got such an amazing range of knowledge in these discussions, but you also have people in our chats, and I want to be really, because I know sometimes like a suggestion's made, like say for instance the crossbow suggestion, where it might kind of feel like we're laughing that off. But one of the things that I have to say I think is very positive about the way that we're doing this is that we should be unafraid to say silly things. And I think a lot of times when you go to have a sort of official design meeting, why would you hang out there? When you're having an official design meeting with official game designers, there are people who are afraid to say or suggest things for fear of it sounding silly. And
yeah.
So we shouldn't have that fear here.
Do not fear silliness.
No, please.
Okay, this is a suggestion from B-Nuts. This is about the rage image. When she is active in rage for a limited time, she will take no damage from minor enemies or minor damage from mini bosses. She can one-hit kill minor enemies or take out mini bosses in a few hits. Basically just become a badass.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think why not?
Yeah, I like badass mode, and I think having areas in the game specifically designed to encourage badassery would be really fantastic. I, again, feel like that's a thing where, you know, in this game, her sort of rage boxes are often they're misplaced because you get that, and then you sort of want an entire room full of bad guys to mow down, and they're just not there.
Yep. Okay, moving on. All these were from the Circus dress and rabbit post. So here we have from Sarah Heist suggests for the clown forced performance, it might be interesting to go along with her inner turmoil and existential dread, her new awareness of death inciting her own sense of mortality and time. If that monologue, which is my favourite, were to be said repeated by the Tweedles mockingly, overlapping and rising in intensity throughout the bit, at the end, rising to a crescendo to the point she passes out.
Wow.
Quite a sinister, detailed Circus suggestion there.
That is very detailed and sinister. That is the kind of thing I think we definitely want to get recorded over on the wiki. And all right, hey, about to fly off the. I just was flying off the ledge. But yeah, I think that's some good stuff.
Yeah, Ravina Black comes back with a super chat. Thank you very much. Would there be a place for the White Queen or Knight in the game? they've yet to appear in the more corrupted Wonderlands, but maybe they'd exist here.
Sure. I think that there is room for those guys. Shouldn't be a problem.
There you go.
We should get some concept of those two things, those characters done as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Sunny.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one from Ina. Suggests that maybe the rage mode is an early power-up, and as she progresses, she learns to control the anger and the power mode changes. So she generally has a different power mode dependent on the different stages of grief. So it's even more wild when you first get it and chaotic and uncontrollable, but then as you go along, you sort of learn different aspects of it.
Yes,
maybe.
Sounds good. I mean, this whole theme of kind of controlling emotion and rage. Sure. Ooh, there's the grasshopper tea.
Taylor Goen, super chat says, thank you. Asked, what was the reason behind changing the design of the Jabberwock? I know the toy came out first and there was no time to change it. What's that all about?
Well, the question seems to answer itself. You got it. So what was the reason behind the difference in the toy and the in-game? And then the person says the toy came out first, there was no time to change it. That's right. But
so
I think we talked about this before. I mean, the main reason that so usually when we're working on a game, you will end up with multiple variations on a particular character design, at least for sure, since we're talking about the first Alice game. There was a period there where we were kind of going through all the possibilities of what a particular character might look like. That means that there were more than several pieces of art related to the Jabberwock, and one of the pieces of art was actually a 3D clay model, and that was done by Terry Smith Creations. And so we had quite a few actually kind of clay mock-ups of characters in the game, and then there was also drawn 2D sketches, artwork, and there were times when the sketches didn't match up with these 3D maquettes that we were making, but the maquettes were obviously what were used when we sent stuff off to the toy manufacturer to show them exactly what the 3D thing looked like. And so, yeah, there was a difference between the shape and design of the 3D maquette and of the 2D art which the game development team built.
That map is almost full. Are you near the end of the game?
We're at the Queen's Castle, yeah. We're getting there.
Wow.
We're slowly making our way.
Melissa Shironko super chats. The White King was in Madness Returns, so it's valid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The White King was in Madness Returns.
Yes, it was.
Hannah Young suggests, saying, I love the new look for the circus dress. Maybe there could be a forced smile painted on her face to symbolize being forced to take her medication at the asylum.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things where we actually want to talk to or experiment with the cosplay community. I'd like to get some of our cosplaying fans, and we have quite a lot of them, to do tests and trials and examples of what the cosplay might look like, and then bring that back into the game. And so if you're following along over on Patreon, you'll know that like last week we made mention of one of our cosplaying fans, that is Fairy Blossom. She's quite a well-known German cosplayer, and she does some very cool Alice cosplays. getting someone like her to collaborate with Omri or with the fan community to do some makeup tests for these different parts of the game, and then basing the design in game off of their real world examples.
Bet Made You Look could paint the shit out of that.
Yeah, I'm actually in communication with her, but she, I think, is super, super busy. She does have sort of millions of followers, and so I think trying to get a back and forth going with her around this kind of thing may be difficult, just with her schedule.
Okay. Anthony Morvan said, I noticed there's no element or metal assigned to the circus dress. So I thought quicklime, calcium oxide, like in Limelight, its alchemy symbol looks cool too.
Cool.
Do all dresses have to have a element, metallic component?
Well, I don't think that, there's a hard and fast rule that anything has to have an element or has that link, but if I don't create that link, if we don't have that element, I feel like we're kind of dropping the ball, because there's a subtext in there. If you look at alchemy and psychology, and there's actually a book by Carl Jung by that very name, you will find that the alchemical process is linked intrinsically with the process of sort of facing chaos and then transforming oneself from the old to the new, and that there are lots of reasons why we would want to incorporate that symbology and that meaning in the dresses. To not do it would be lazy.
Seen a few people mentioning Glam and Gore. Is that a cosplayer?
Might be.
That you've heard of?
I've not heard of.
We should Google Glam and Gore after the stream.
Let's do that. But you know what time it is?
Is it time to say that Carlos Salazar has super chatted us but has said nothing?
You could do that. But I also think that you ought to make mention of this is going to be, is it the fourth and final prize?
It is.
Okay. Before we give away the fourth and final prize in today's stream, though, let us walk very quickly through all the stuff that you could be doing to help support the creation of Alice Asylum.
So everyone, spam.
Yeah, you do need to spam. If you could also do a favor for me, and that is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we do get a lot of people watching the YouTube stuff, but we don't get that many subscribers. So make sure you subscribe and like these videos. And if you have a moment, go around and, sort of like other videos on my YouTube channel, because that helps us.
Do.
But anyway, we are in the process of working on a new Alice game. You are here because you're a part of that process. You are doing what we call crowd design. Now, if you want to help us to secure the funding needed to make a new Alice game, please go and sign up for the Alice 3 mailing list. You can also follow me on all the various social medias, including YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and of course Instagram, which I keep forgetting.
Still haven't added Instagram to this page.
But all those places are pretty simple because I'm basically just American McGee on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. There is also a Patreon, which we do mention from time to time, and I will say one last time that this is literally your last 24 hours in which you can acquire the official Chaos Coin. This is the card that comes with the coin. Super cool. Comes in a box with a logo on it. Woo, a box.
Also cool.
There is a little black velvet bag. You can put your weed in there. And there's also a Chaos Coin. This thing is heavy. It's real. It's metal. You could probably knock someone out with that.
Do some damage if you hefted that at someone's head.
And there's like a holder jigger, like a thing that you put your coin in, and then you can put it on your desk, and you can show off to your friends.
Indeed.
Really, no better way to support the production, and also the ownership of that coin means you get a virtual coin in Alice Asylum upon which you can place your name and a short message. As we did mention in the chat earlier, being a patron does give you access to artwork. We do artwork and art prints every month, and at certain levels you can get the art prints. And then there is AmericanMcGee.com, or Mysterious, which is where we sell retail products like t-shirts and wallets and all kinds of fun stuff.
Well said.
Martin, what are you giving away today? Are we going to put this up for sale?
I think we should. Let's bring it over here. Is one side better than another? Nah, they're both good. Here we go. The Unicorn I Don't Believe in Humans Cup.
It just says I don't humans.
It says believe. It's light. Does it show up on... let's do the top-down cam.
I don't believe in humans, says the unicorn.
Look at that face.
You know, it's funny because that unicorn actually kind of matches your shirt today. You're very colorful today, Font Lord.
Yes, so just you can have your cup of tea from this.
So you're going to give away a I don't believe in unicorns.
Don't believe in humans.
Or I'm sorry, humans.
Unicorn cup.
Oh boy. All right, guys. This is all on Martin. Here we go. Oh, Alice on Elm Street.
Look at that.
Never won anything before, right?
It doesn't sound like it.
No. So congratulations, Alice on Elm Street. You finally won something after all of the fantastic suggestions that you've thrown at us. So if you could please do the thing, mysterious@AmericanMcGee.com, mention that you won a unicorn coffee mug. You can put whatever beverage you like in there, and you'll need to send along your mailing address, your phone number, and all that kind of stuff. So congratulations, Alice on Elm Street.
Would you all like us to put this cup up on Mysterious for sale?
Let's do that. We can do it. We can put it up there.
Ray Weatherford, super chats that scroll past. If I sub at the 35 level 3 months, but not the 3 for 35, do I still get the art prints?
You probably want to choose that tier.
Yeah, do the tier.
Makes life easier for everyone. Why would you not be at that tier if you were doing that amount of money?
Yeah. Tina, Dangerous, 50 Sheesh Toys, Smoke Ring Gun, Atomic Energy Lab, Slinky Robot, Lawn Darts.
Yes, those are 50-ish toys, but remember, this game takes place in 18 something. It's like 1865 or 1835, can't remember exactly. But yeah, it's way before Atomic Energy or Slinkies or whatnot, so a little off on the timing there, but thank you for the suggestions. It's much appreciated.
Yes. Oh, there you go. Alice on Elm Street is excited.
Awesome.
For the cup.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm gonna continue playing the game here and give you a chance to answer some more of those questions. I feel bad about our patrons.
Left.
Okay.
This one isn't really anything, but I just wanted to point out. B-nuts. I have edited some. Some were quite long. I don't remember what else was on yours. Maybe we could get back to that later. But yes, they do get edited somewhat. So, yeah. Sorry. But I did want to point out Sterling Treadwell's post.
Okay.
Not for anything specific, but it was just epic.
All right.
You know, the person must have put a lot of effort into the post. It was numerous paragraphs.
Right.
So well done, Sterling. There's too much in there to mention, but it was a good post. Ice Killer. Likes the circus dress better this time around, but feels the wig still needs work. Can Omri try more wig variation?
Okay.
And also, on the rage dress, the hands are uneven. Is that intentional?
All right. Well, before we get to that, I see that Carlo Salazar says that he did send a super chat message previously, but for some reason it wasn't sent across and we didn't see it. And so his super chat was, I know American is friends with Pandora Box and wants to know, have I watched the most recent seasons of Drag Race? If so, what do you think? The answer to that is yes, I do know Pandora Box, and we had Pandora out here to Shanghai to participate in the filming of the Zombie Kickstarter video.
It was a good video.
It was a lot of fun, but I do not watch Drag Race, nor do I watch a lot of Western television, as we've mentioned before. Not easy to get that stuff out here in China, and I don't even know if I've seen Drag Race in the DVD shops. For what they do offer, it's usually pretty bog standard, sort of TV shows. So yeah, not seen it, have no opinion, sorry about that. And by the way, anyone in the chat that wants to tell me how to get past this sooner, go for it, because it's hard for me to do chats and then also solve puzzles at the same time.
Marjorie Roper super chat, just saying that sadly they need to go to bed. But thanks for a great live stream. Fun as always. See you on Discord and Patreon.
I think Marjorie Roper is one and the same as Peaches. So I may be getting that wrong. But anyway, have a good night, Marjorie.
Yes,
and
sweet
we will
dreams.
see you on Discord.
Back to Ice Killers. Question suggestion.
Okay,
will
what was the
Omri be
question?
doing more wig variation, or is he done with the circus dress?
I think we're probably done with the circus dress for right now. I don't, and we've said this before, we probably don't want to spend like a huge amount of time doing lots of variations, because the artwork that we're creating now isn't really meant to be the final art, right? I'm guessing we want this pointing at something that's a heart shape, because like this is the Queen of Hearts castle, and yet I've not seen this point at a heart-shaped thing. Anyway, so no, we probably won't do any more variations on those things until a later date, at which point we decide to finalize the characters and the designs and the representations. I think a lot of the work now needs to go into the wiki and defining the actual movements through the game and the narrative elements and all these kinds of things. And then, nope, there is no heart thing. After each activation, go back up. Every time you have to target with the Vorpal blade the portrait shown in the mirror. I see. All right.
Okay. Andy also asks a question about Alice's uneven hands in the rage image, but I guess that's one for Omri.
Yeah, that might be a question for Omri, but I think that also there was the... it's sort of like... Yeah, the hands are uneven because the one hand is like a giant claw and the other hand is not. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit self-explanatory. Is it not?
Guess.
Right.
Well, we know Omri watches these and he's also on Discord, so maybe you'll get a chance to ask.
Maybe so, yes.
Phoenix, back again. I don't like the idea of putting patches all over the dresses for power-ups, I'm guessing. Maybe that same idea can be implemented, but with alchemy symbols instead.
Yeah, well, I think, this was kind of a thing mentioned in one of the Patreon posts, I think, was that we might have the ability for Alice to collect the embroidered patches, and then you would affix those patches to your dress. I don't think that necessarily means that, like, every time you do that, it actually junks up your dress with that patch, right? It could be that it's just simply you see that in the user interface.
Yeah.
Right. So, no, something scary's happened here.
Apparently,
I'm supposed to now throw. Which one did I have it pointing at? I can't remember. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about. Oop, that's not good. I wouldn't worry too much about like cluttering up the dress itself. I can understand why that might sort of be a concern, but this is really more of a UI sort of power-up thing. It doesn't have to be your dress is all messed up, right? Yeah.
And last but not least, Eleni Drinkwater. Going to the Rage image. Rage is aggressive. I think that while the outfit is selling it, the pose needs to reflect that more. The passive stance could look a little more like Alice is ready for a fight. Arms out, hands in front, clawed, snarl while attacking. So basically just her standing there. It's not aggressive enough for Eleni Drinkwater.
Yeah, again, these are meant to be sort of conceptual poses, more about the outfit than about the character's emotion. And once we get a little further into production, we would see the kinds of poses and animation tests that go along with conveying emotion. Until we get there, keep in mind that different art serves different purposes, and this art isn't really kind of in that vein. This art is more about costume design.
Okay. Joachim Olsen is back with a super chat. Thank you very much. I kind of want to see something Lovecraftian in Alice. Have there been any ideas considered or proposed for something like this?
Well, I mean, the Queen, in her tentacly badness, is very Lovecraftian. I suppose we could do something along those lines as a kind of generic theme, but it's important to remember that the timelines don't really match up. I believe Lovecraft was doing a lot of his work sort of at a later date than I hope I'm doing the right thing here. I feel like I'm sort of don't know if I'm winning or losing at this game right now.
You didn't get teleported back that time.
No, so is the being teleported back sort of the failure? It's like, yeah, yes. You did the thing. All right. Anyway, yeah, so I think Lovecraft is, wouldn't be contemporary to the era in which our game takes place, but that's not to say that we can't have...
It could still be Lovecraftian. Tentacly nonsense.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you've said before, tentacles make everything better.
Well, you can actually look at ancient, or not ancient, but quite old sort of Japanese artwork dealing with
those
horrors
sexy octopuses
of the deep. And those have a Lovecraftian feel to them from a time period before Lovecraftian was a thing. So I think there's something... sort of natural in the horror that is Lovecraft's representation of dark, hidden things. And it's something that we understand instinctively, which is what makes it so horrible.
Blade Siskadol is asking via Super Chat if we like Danny Elfman's music.
I do like his stuff from the films a little bit. I find it's not the kind of music, like soundtrack-wise, that I tend to listen to while I'm working because it's a bit frantic. But if I am going to listen to his music that's a bit frantic, then I'd prefer just to go back and listen to Oingo Boingo.
Okay. Yeah, I think his music fits the films, therefore, very well, but it's not something I would just have on as music. So it needs to be mixed in with the movie,
right,
for me.
And Alice on Elm Street sends along another $5 super chat that says, thank you for the mug. These live streams are very great for learning about design. Well, thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate it. And
enjoy the mug.
We have now, I think, come to the end of today's stream. So thank you all very much for joining us. Next week, we will finish that last section of Alice. Then what are we going to play?
People haven't mentioned stuff that we should play in a while, but what did they mention before? like, what was it? These Happy Few or Those Happy Few, whatever was it called?
I really want to play Bad Day LA.
Okay.
Just because it's so bad, it's so stupid. It's kind of fun. But yeah, we could play.
And what's that other one? It's Frambo.
Yeah,
People
Frambo.
kept saying that a while ago.
Yeah.
So there are options. So yeah, gonna have to think of something to suck at.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. And we will be back next week with the completion, I hope, of Alice. And then we'll switch on to some new game. And we should also have for you an update on the production of a White Rabbit or Cheshire Cat plush. And we should have new artwork, new story, and we may even have an update from our friends at EA.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. One last reminder, if you want that Chaos Coin via Patreon, you need to do that thing now.
Not tomorrow.
If you're watching this video and it is at any point past October 31st at midnight, then you're too late. You'll have to go over and buy it on Mysterious.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.